episode 126 of This Week in Marketing Show, also known as a Trim Show. This is your Sajid Islam, and today I'll be going over the notable news and updates in the digital marketing space from the week of September 12, 2022. So first off, I'm going to start off with some progress in or some updates in the Google Analytics. So Google now has this tab in Google Analytics. They're calling it the Recommendations tab to help users become aware of new features by that Google recommends based on their machine language, reviewing your properties history, settings, and trends over time. So the recommendations now appearing in Insights and Recommendations section of the homepage, as well as throughout recommendations, as well as throughout analytics wherever they're relevant. Now, keep in mind, you should check your Google Analytics accounts regularly for outages, updates, and now obviously for recommendations. As always, we never suggest enabling auto recommendations or auto applying recommendations because you never know what Google is saying and if it applies to you or not. Okay, with that, let's move on to the next update, which is new HTTPS report is now available in Google Search Console. So what this basically means, that the new report will show how many site indexed URLs on your site are HTTP versus HTTPS. And with the ability to check a page HTTP/HTTPS status from Search Console, Google can help us address the issues that are causing the HTTPS URL indexing to fail. Now, if you're not sure what HTTP and HTTPS are, it's basically a secure transfer protocol. All you need to know is that HTTPS is good, HTTP is not good. HTTPS is a ranking signal or ranking factor. So you want all your URLs in Google indexed, and everything should be HTTPS by default. With that, let's move on to the next update, which is, hey Google, can I use stop words in my URL? Stop words are common words like a, and the. In the early days of search, those kind of words were not considered important for SEO because they weren't considered important for search engines. Now, someone asked John Mueller of Google, if in short, when using words from a page title, right, sorry, I got distracted. Was asked when using words from a page title in the URL, should I include stop words too? For example, should I call a page why is the sky blue.html, or should I just call it why sky blue.html? Right, it's a very valid question. Should I be descriptive in my URLs, or should in the page title or page URLs, or should I just be as brief as possible? To that, Mueller said, words in URL only play a tiny role for Google search. He recommends not to overthink it. Use URLs that can last over time and avoid changing them too often, and try to make them useful for users. Whether you include stop words in them or not, decide to use numeric IDs is totally up to you. So again, just to summarize and bring it home, what John Mueller is saying is, make it something that the end user will understand what your page is all about. And really using stop words and being super overly descriptive is not going to get you a whole lot of SEO juice or SEO credits. With that, let's move on to the next update, which is, someone asked, hey Google, is it a good idea to target keywords with zero search volumes? Now, what are zero search volumes? So zero search volumes is when you do keyword research, you will see certain long tail queries that have zero queries or zero search volume, or maybe very non-existent search volumes. And that usually happens, like I said, long tail keywords. So instead of saying, red t-shirt or red leather jacket, you could say men's size large, men's red leather jacket, in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so you're getting very, very long and very, very narrow and very, very niched. Okay, and it's a very good question. I mean, people would say, hey, do very niche down. So to that, Google is saying, you can optimize for whatever you want. It doesn't really matter whether there is zero search volume today or tomorrow. right, or yesterday there was any volume or not. You want to create pages that are helpful, that are informational, that are people are really looking for. You don't want to really just create oh, there are like 500,000 search volumes every month for red leather jackets, so let's go create one, right? So Liz Harvey from Google is saying it's not always about the keywords that have the most volumes. It's about how people should find your page and target those keywords, as well as making your page relevant and helpful and informational, things like that. Check out the show notes page, because I'm going to add a lot more stuff in there that you definitely want to read about if this topic interests you. But for the podcast, this is all I can tell you, is you shouldn't really play by those kind of target search volumes, things like that. Focus on delivering good content that should be educational, informational for your user base. Next up is someone asked, and this was, I found it to be a very amazing question, is like, hey Google, will you penalize sites that look alike, that look the same? When can that happen? Well, say you're buying a template, a theme, where your site looks the same as the other site, just because you just decided you like the template, you just changed probably the logo and the color scheme, it remains the same. And so I asked John Mueller, hey, if two sites are identical, does it really matter? Will you penalize us? So the first of all, John Mueller says overall there is no penalty for having or a web spam manual action for having almost two identical sites, with a little bit of caveat, right? If what he's saying, if the URLs and the page content is same across the two websites, then what can happen for identical pages is that Google may pick one page as the canonical page. What that also basically means is Google will arbitrarily decide, hey, this one is the main page, like this is the main authoring website, and the other one is the non-authoritative website, which is they're just like copying from the other one, right? This would basically means that one is going to get crawled, indexed, and ranked, the other one would not. And for pages that are not identical, they will basically index both, right? So that kind of makes sense, because if you have two websites with the same content, same layout, same logo, same things like that, so Google is going to arbitrarily say, hey, site B is the whatever, the main page that was published first, and site A was copied from site B, vice versa. But if you really want to worry about it, create different sites, unless it's a localized version, it's a different language, things like that. In that case, you definitely want to say which site is the main site. Hope that helps. Again, you don't want to have duplicate sites, you don't want to have duplicate content, just because it's going to create more headaches than help. Especially if you have a say development or staging sites, you may have to have a duplicate sites. In that case, just make sure your primary site is always the canonical site, number one, and number two is you want to turn off indexing on your development site. Yeah, it's just a good practice. Next up, someone asked, hey Google, is there a benefit to publishing content daily, right? So what Google said is like, there is not really any plus or any benefits for publishing daily or a set cadence, because we don't really, Google does not really care. However, obviously, if you publish more, then more you would have more pages in index, and the more content may show up in Google search results. Now, having said that, Google also does not index everything on your website. This has been discussed previously on our show. There is a limit to how much Google indexes, and then obviously, if you find certain parts of your websites are not indexed, you want to go back and manually request indexes. And before you do that, you want to make sure there are a few things you want to check, because Google's John Mueller had once said, they don't, most of the times they don't crawl, index, and rank a lot of the sites. Is because sometimes the contents are not helpful, right? This is junk content. He didn't use the word junk, I'm just saying, and as a result, he's just avoiding it. But he did in the past lay out some recommendations. I believe there were 4 of them that you can do to push your sites not push your sites, push Google to get your site, push Google to index your site, right? After you figured out that there are no technical issues on your website, you could probably use internal linking, focus on quality content, and third and lastly, you could actually use promote your own site. Say you're sharing your links on Twitter and social, Facebook and LinkedIn, and then Google is going to pick up the signal, say, this page is probably important because there are other references to this page from other websites. So that helps. Now, obviously I'm summarizing it and making it short for you, but if you really want to know more about this topic, I am going to add details on this topic in the show notes page. Make sure you check it out. Next up, we have uh, Google has announced non-Google Merchant Center feeds are eligible for product reach results. Now, what are those? So Merchant Center feeds, we know, you need to have Google Merchant Center. If you're an e-com or if you have a product, you want to have Google Merchant Center so that your product are synced with that, and then it shows up automatically in Google search. Up until now, that was the only way to have your product show up on Google Products or Google Shopping, because it will take results from Google Merchant Center feeds. Now, the challenge was, some people do not do that. Other people are probably review sites where products don't show up. So now Google has said, if you're using structured data, if you have structured data on your website, then we will go ahead and use that structured data to create product reach results. And what are product reach results? Product reach results, they are basically the results that you see when you type on something like just a toothpaste and you see this image show up with reviews and ratings and things like that. These are called product reach results. So I find this to be very, very helpful, because now you don't have to really go through Google Merchant Center feed. Now, having said that, I would definitely encourage you to use Google Merchant Center feed whenever possible, because it's really it's very, very helpful. Now, obviously, if you have a review site, you will not have it, in which case this is a good option. Next up, we have Google Ads now support Performance Max campaigns and ad scripts. Ad scripts are something the advanced Google Ads people use it to kind of automate specific function in your ad account, saving time and making management of large or multiple accounts much easier. So, for example, one thing I would say is not about Performance Max, but once I had a client who wanted to run ads between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. every day. Now, obviously, I could always go and run ads between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. However, this would be manually 7 days a week. I have to remember to do it. I wrote a script that did that, right? So there are a lot of reasons why you want to write scripts, and obviously, this is advanced thing because you want to use JavaScripts and write code that will do a lot of actions. Like, for example, if you have two campaigns running and one is performing really well, the other one is not performing well, and you want to you can shift budget from this non-performing campaign into performing campaign, so that your campaign, the first campaign, the performing campaign, doesn't run out of budget. There are a lot of things you can do. So good news is that Google Performance Max campaigns, which is basically the new type of campaigns in Google Ads, are now supporting Google Ads script. However, you will not be able to modify text assets or create new campaigns or asset groups. Next up, we have Google Ads introduces Manage tab in recommendations. Now, having said that, I want to tell you, you should not auto apply or follow any of the advices in the Manage tab. It is my duty to inform you that this option exists. However, when I look at it, the two options in the Manage tabs are Maintain Your Ads, which gives you recommendations to improve your responsive search ads, remove redundant keywords, and update your conversion tracking. And the second option is Grow Your Business option, with advanced recommendation optimizations such as upgrading keywords to broad match, maximizing conversions to auto bids, and adding more store visits of conversions. As you can, as I was reading and as you listen, none of these options are good for you as a business. I do not know why Google is giving it to us. I guess my assumption is that it's targeting more like uh, self business users, local business owners who are running Google Ads by themselves, and just giving them something to do, because you don't want to upgrade keywords to broad match. Broad match is a bad keyword match. It matches everything. Unless you are really doing a market survey or trying to get a lay of the land, you should not use broad match. Anyway, Hope this helps. Let's move on to the next update. Google is rebranding ad extension and ad features to create engaging ads. So basically, it's gone are the days where there's going to be called ad extensions. Google is now referring them to assets, and it has released new workflows, tools, and reports to make it easy for you to deliver more engaging ads and provide you with helpful, actionable information about their performance. Okay, so we already talked about it, about the ad extensions being called assets. uh, so there are also, when you create ads, like like for the second option update on this topic is that Google also added a new ads and asset menu where it will display stats for all your assets across your account, providing more context on which elements to include. There is also a new combinations report which will display site links, callouts, images alongside with headlines and description, making it easier for you to review your ad approaches from a vantage point. In combination, the new reporting tools will provide much more oversight of your Google campaigns and the related elements, which could help to uncover new opportunities and options to optimize your ads. Google says that unified reporting in the assets page will roll out over the coming weeks for all campaign types that previously supported ad extensions, while the updated combinations report will roll out in the next few months. Now, one thing I missed talking about it is that I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, that's about it. That's I kind of like the options that are available in ad extensions, or actually they're called now assets. Yeah, I like it. Let's move on to the last update of this week. The last update of this week is that Microsoft has announced this new thing called multimedia ads. This new video and image formats are infographic inspired, and it's basically the new ad formats are collages of videos and images shown on the top of search results. On the right side, the search result is expanded and opens to a wider window so that the user never needs to click off the page. Let's see, it's Microsoft has given out some best practices for your ads to stand out. I'm gonna go ahead and put the announcement in the show notes page. And one of the things Microsoft has said, and which I kind of liked, this stated that there was very good ROI on this ad. Obviously, it's brand new, so people were clicking away first when they see something new. Again, if you are not a Microsoft user or if you don't advertise on Microsoft, this does not really help you. However, with ad cost actually growing up in Google and YouTube, Microsoft may not be a bad idea to start and play around with. Alrighty, folks, that's it. That's it for this week in marketing. Now you know everything to be in the know. Make sure you visit the show notes page where you'll find the links to the articles. Once again, this is your host Sajid Islam signing off until next week. Take care. Bye bye.